I actually greet my viewers with a message of racial tolerance, racial integration, and message of internationalism. I believe that racial integration is a pivotal instrument for the American nation to achieve mental health and to achieve economic prosperity. As integrated nation, American public will be less subject to mental diseases such as homopathy and depression, because homopathy is a specific form of psychopathy that is based on racial, sexual, and ageist prejudices and biases. Also, it's based on homopathy, a specific form of psychopathy that's based on pathological hatred towards individuals of different ethnicity, race, sex, and age. Actually, when I studied psychology in American colleges, some American psychologists just were shameless and disgraceful homopaths who actually preached sexism, racism, and ageism. I believe that like those psychologists like Schultz or Sorensen, who wrote psychology books for American students, actually preached racism as, let's say, American psychologist Schultz stated that American blacks live worse, much worse economically than whites, which is untrue. This statement only reflected racist bias of the psychologist Schultz, which I believe is unfair, is not based on genuine statistics, as the psychologist Schultz never quoted any statistics to back up his controversial racist statement. And actually, the only way you can make conclusions on an empirical statement only by having valid empirical data. He didn't have any valid empirical data, no statistic that could back up his racist statement. But still, he actually still made statements that reflected on a racist and homopathic bias of the psychologist, for instance. That's another American psychologist, Jeffrey Nevitt. He also wrote that, made real racist remarks against black people, let's say, saying that the percentage of African American receiving needed care for mental health problems is only half of that non-Hispanic whites. He doesn't have any empirical data to back up his statement. He has no statistics to make a conclusion based on. So the only reason this psychologist, Mr. Jeffrey Nevitt, is making this racist statement about African Americans is his racist bias. It means that homopathy, it's taking, unfortunately, some roots in American psychology, as American psychologists are subjected to racist, sexist, and ageist bias. Like American psychologist Sorensen, Irvin Sorensen, once stated in his book that American women, are most likely to become ill with depression, than American men. This is untrue and sexist biased statement, as actually the psychologist Irvin Sorensen never had any empirical data to back up her sexist statement, never had any statistics that could she make conclusion. The only reason she made this unfair statement is that she fed the students her racist, sexist bias against women. Women are, I believe, it as likely as men, equally likely to develop depression, as there are no critical incidents of depression-related behavior that's been ever noted in press, by mass media, and there is no statistic that can back up sexy statement that women are more likely to become ill with depression, than men in America. So I believe that that's why I base my equality statement of American women and men getting ill with depression, based on my views of sexual equality. Well, I also believe that that imperialist forces, they actually try to feed racist and sexist and ageist bias to American public, to American students as well, especially in the psychology textbooks, where they say that racial stereotyping, let's say in the mental health system, in the book of American psychologist Jeffrey Nivid, it says that if you are African American, you are more likely to be admitted to a mental hospital and more likely to be involuntarily committed than if you are white, according to psychologist Lindsay and Paul in 1999. But you are also more likely to be diagnosed with schizophrenia if you are a black American. And they also explain that so that African American are overrepresented among lower economic, socioeconomic groups in our society, and which is untrue. I mean, this is he feeds the student. This professor feeds the students his racist bias. Jeffrey, that is, as he has no empirical data to back up his statements, and the only way he can make such empirical controversial racist statement is having a valid statistic that could have backed up his views. So he doesn't have any statistic whatsoever, he doesn't have any empirical data, but he makes false empirical conclusion. And I believe that racist and homopathy is actually took root in the minds of American psychologists such as Jeffrey Nivid, because it's based on imperialist statement of those psychologists. And I believe corruption took place in those statement of American. Also, I also resent the racist statement of that CNN hosts, because in that program, with being black in America, black Americans are being vilified, and with CNN have a racist host, such as a female white Caucasian host, which went unnoticed in that program of Black in America. It is a program that unfortunately portrays black people being persecuted over the basis of their race, but which is untrue. That mostly black people live happy and healthy lives, and make it not worse when whites do. As black in America, black community in America enjoys as much racial equality, racial integration as whites do, and I believe that CNN, foul attempt of CNN neo-fascists such as Lou Dobbs, John Keane, and Wolf Blitzer to push racism and right-wing extremist views, to oppose environment, to push for oil drilling in Arctic wildlife reserves, is a big mistake, and will bring down CNN and racists such as Lou Dobbs and John King, who hate politically correct idiots like they call their opponents. I believe in racial equality. I believe in racial integration. I believe racial integration policy won in the United States of America, and America moves toward racial integration as a society in order to prosper, in order to achieve prosperity and be mentally healthy, because mental diseases are associated with racial segregation. And corrupt Republican President Bush once preached racial segregation. He's mentally ill homopath. He's the guy who obsessed with race and sex as part of pathological hatred towards people. As homopathy is pathological hatred towards people over sex, race, and age. And I believe that viewers will make proper conclusions from my statement.